Hey guys, my name is David O'Donohue. I'm a clinical psychologist working in private practice in Australia. I wanted to make this video to showcase the way that we can use AI to help us with our note-taking. So I think that at the moment, using AI to listen to our sessions and create notes can not only produce very accurate summaries of what happened in the session, but we can even go beyond that. So the way that we go beyond that is with custom prompts. And if you're not sure what a prompt is, it's basically a bit of context or instruction that you can give to the AI to help it to tailor its output. So it will try and follow your prompts as if they are directions. So let's have a look at a custom prompt that I wrote for this video. So here is the prompt. As you can see, we start out by instructing the AI to provide a summary of the session, which is very useful from a time-saving perspective. And we can see that further down there's a section on CBT. So we're asking the AI to look at the session from a CBT perspective. And we're specifically asking for cognitive distortions, core beliefs, CBT case formulation, any suggestions. And I think this next part is actually really amazing, because we can ask it for a comment or a reflection on the therapist's demonstration of skills, and we can ask it for a reflection or a suggestion on areas that the therapist can improve on. So I've written a few different prompts into this. I've kind of combined them together, a few different therapeutic modalities. Each section is pretty much similar. We're just saying, can you comment on the session based on this paradigm? And we're saying, how well does the therapist use this paradigm? Could the therapist improve in any way? And so we've got CBT, we've got ACT, schema therapy, internal family systems, and psychodynamic psychotherapy. There's also a few extra sections down here on how do we integrate these perspectives. Are there any ethical concerns from the session? How is the therapist's cultural competence? And overall, how is the therapist going? And we've asked it to be specific about things that the therapist might be doing that are potentially unhelpful, or things that the therapist is doing that's potentially helpful. So I don't think this is perfect. I think that if we try and say that any one thing that a therapist is doing is helpful or unhelpful, that can be a bit flawed. Sometimes it can be helpful, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it can be both helpful and unhelpful. It's hard to predict. But I think that this can provide us with some very useful information about our possible blind spots or our unconscious patterns that we can reflect on, we can take to supervision, and we can eventually learn. Either this is something that I need to think about, process, work on, or this is just a random comment that the AI has thrown out. Now, let's have a look at a case note. So this isn't a case note from an actual client, this is just a role play that I did. In this role play, I tried to present as an angry man who uses anger to avoid feelings of sadness. I mentioned some core beliefs. I talked about the relationship that this client had with their parents. I even accused the therapist of being like one of my parents. And let's have a look and see what the AI has produced and see if it picked up on all the things that we asked it about. So here's the general summary. This is very accurate. I won't go through and read the whole case note, but I can say that this has picked up on all of the major points, all of the important points that happened in this very short role play. The AI has also generated the different sections that we've asked for. Again, I'm not going to read through the entire thing, but we can see that it's identified some cognitive distortions, it's identified a core belief, it's got a CBT case formulation, it's got some suggestions for what the therapist could do moving forward, it's got a comment on the therapist's CBT specific competencies, and it's got some suggested improvements in how the therapist could apply CBT. It does the same thing for ACT. with different concepts that are more related to ACT. It's commenting again on the therapist's performance. Same thing with schema therapy. It's identified a potential memory for imagery scripting. It's got the same thing for internal family systems. It's got a comment on how the therapist was able to maintain self-leadership, and again the use of the techniques, suggested areas of improvement. Here in the psychodynamic section, it has accurately picked up on the transference that I tried to express. So I did say something like, "You're just like my mother, always passive," and the AI could determine that this was transference and could communicate that, could put it in a note. It's also commented on a potential enactment, which I think can be very helpful to us. It's tried to integrate these. It's suggesting a mix of CBT, ACT and schema therapy. It's got a brief note on ethical considerations and cultural competence, and it's got a lengthy section on the overall therapist development. It's explaining the interventions that were potentially helpful and how they were potentially helpful, and it's got a section on the potentially unhelpful interventions and why they were potentially unhelpful. Again, this is not something that we should take in a black and white manner. It's just something to reflect on, because the AI does sometimes get it wrong. And it's got some recommendations for the development of the therapist. So, as you can see, it is potentially quite useful, even if you just use it to save time on writing down what happened during the session so that you can give your full attention to the client, or if you're not taking notes during session, save you time afterwards. Depending on how exhaustive your session notes are, you might not always put in the full case formulation, but this AI can do it for you, and all you really need to do is review it, make any minor corrections or additions, or remove anything that doesn't fit. And this can provide a lot of time saving, and it can provide that third perspective that can help us to try and reflect on, identify blind spots and those unconscious patterns. Alright, so this has been an explanation of how you can use AI assisted notes to help you practice. I hope you've taken something from the video. Let me know if there's anything more that you'd like to know about this. And if you liked the video, or if you learned something from it, do consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.